So what we're going to talk about and get an understanding of now, we're not in person, so we won't do these quizzes that are usually in the guides that are handed out. But just anybody can answer this if they want. Tell me whether this is true or false. Thinking about your spending and savings plan is all it takes to manage your money. Is that true or false? Anyone?
False.
Correct, Damone.
False.
A spending and savings plan records the values of your assets, tells you which bills to pay first if you can't afford to pay them all. It lists your income and expenses. It should not include gifts that you receive or give to others. Now, is it all of the above or none of the above? Anyone?
I'm going to go with all of the above, even though about that gift giving, I think that should be recorded as well in a savings plan.
And you're not the first. It should not, because it's a gift. It's not something you necessarily have to do. But I got to tell you, in the first session.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But in the first session, you're not the only one who felt the same way on that. But gifts are sort of, you can do it if you want to or not. You know, so you may budget for it. Let's just say if we want to give a loved one a gift, a spouse or a child or something. Now that might be something we budget for, but we don't have to, or to save for and things like that. Okay. Let's see, we go on here. So we'll get started making a monthly spending and savings plan. You don't have a participant guide, so we won't participate in that. So use a monthly spending and savings plan to guide how to use your money. The building blocks of a spending and savings plan, get this out of the way, is to compare income and expenses, understand where your money is going, make adjustments, be it income or expenses. And so you know, and those of you that don't know, income is money you receive. Expenses is how you use your income, okay? So we're going to talk about your net income and my expenses, and we're going to do a comparison of my total income and my total expenses. So steps you should fill out when you're doing all of this at home, if you have a budget type of document, or if you want to create one, you complete a column that's called my past monthly amount. You complete a column that's called my planned monthly amount for that particular month. Let's just say in this case, it'll be September, okay? And fill in the month, all your expenses and everything. Compare your total net income to your total expenses. If needed, make changes to the income and expenses that you have on the planned monthly amount column so that your income covers all of your expenses. You may have to do some math to get monthly amounts if you receive income or pay expenses on a schedule other than monthly. And by that, and I'm sure a lot of us are in that same situation, not everything is monthly. We may have, we may have insurance policies, things like that, other bills that we pay on a quarterly basis, or that we might pay on a semi-annually basis. Okay, an example of that for me is my auto insurance, my apartment insurance, all those are quarterly or paid on a quarterly basis. So I don't have that in my monthly budget. So those are the things that I have to think about so that they don't catch me off guard. Okay, April comes and I think I'm only shelling out $2,000, and I may have to shell out $2,289 because the car insurance was due. So think about that. Make sure you jot down everything and focus on when bills are coming in and when they have to go out. Okay. If you may have to do some math to get monthly amounts if you receive income or pay expenses on a schedule other than monthly, like I just talked about. Okay. And when you do that, compare your income and expenses, and you'll have three possible outcomes. Okay. It means the difference, if there's a difference, you're going to have to do something, whether it's pro or con, to do something to save on that. Okay. And that might mean saving more money, putting aside more money to catch up with those bills, or actually put something on a calendar. Give yourself a calendar reminder. And when I say give yourself a calendar reminder, when it comes to bills, maybe give yourself a few weeks calendar reminder. Don't put on there you have to do something or pay something next week when it needed to be paid yesterday. Otherwise, it will cost you late fees or something like that. So sit down, take a look at everything, make sure you know when things are due so that you're not late, so that you're not infecting, you might be paying it, but it might be impacting your credit report because of when you paid it. Okay, filling out your spending and savings plan. There's 3 sections again. There's your net income, there's your expenses, and you're going to compare the two. Which is more? Do you have more income and expenses, or is it the other way around? So steps to fill it out: complete your past monthly amount, complete your planned monthly amount at this point going forward, and compare your total net income to your total expenses, and if needed, make any changes. So any adjustments you have to make. Maybe you have to do something less. Maybe you need to buy less groceries. And that might be not need things that you needed, but maybe the things you don't need. Okay, maybe you don't have to go to the dry cleaners as much. Those type of things. Look where you can carve and save money on a regular basis. So when you compare your total net income minus your total expenses, if the difference is 0, your income equals your expenses. Now that might sound good, but that means you have no excess. That means you have no money to save, no money to put aside. And that might be okay if, say, as far as savings for the future or things like that, that part of your income had to deal with you already taking out a deduction to go in your 401k or your 403b or something like that at work. So maybe you're not saving, going to a local bank or depositing money remotely into a local bank. If you're saving through your job, that's even better. Okay, especially with some jobs and many jobs with the 401ks and 403bs, your job is contributing. So they're putting in a portion of what you're putting in. They might say, well, okay, you put in 5%, we'll match that 2.5%. Okay, up to a certain amount. So in real time, you're actually investing or saving 7.5% of your income. Okay, income that you really can't touch, that you should only touch in an emergency. And it's there for that. You know, there are ways around that and thinking about taxes. But when we're talking about savings, pre-tax savings, there's savings that you shouldn't touch, and take advantage of it as best you can. So if you have a positive difference, that means you have more income than you have expenses. That's what you want. Okay, that extra income, use it for things. Use it for saving now, to save on the outside of that 401k or 403b. Put money aside that you can get your hands on if you need to. Maybe you want to go on a vacation. Maybe you're happy with yourself and you want to give yourself a treat to something, and you want to treat yourself to a gift. And you can go to the local bank or use your debit card or something like that. Okay, because you have these extra funds. If you're in a negative situation, then you have more expenses than income. And that's something you really have to take a look at. Look at where you can cut costs. Okay, you may be spending money where it's not necessary for you to spend money. And I find that a lot to be in cable bills and cell phone bills. Nowadays, with the cable companies, you're getting a lot in a package. So you don't have to get that big bill with all of these features and things like that, where it's costing you extra for the add-ons. Okay, a lot of the things you can buy the local package or the not so expensive package, because some of the other shows that you look at or some of the other programs or whatever that you look at, they're sometimes free or they're part of the package. Look at that. Look into that. You save a lot of money that way. So try making a spending plan and savings plan for yourself. Okay, we won't talk about Shelley and Walter about them putting their income aside, but it's basically what I just got through discussing. Put everything down, no matter what. Sometimes if you're dealing on a strict budget, write down everything you spent during that day. Think about it, as I've said to somebody, and it's your prerogative. Do you have to have that Starbucks cup of coffee? Okay, as opposed to getting another type of coffee from a place where it's not costing as much. So that's it. You know, people say, I'm treating myself to this, or I'm treating myself to that. Do that after you've looked at your budget and where your money is going. So there are several ways to actively use your spending and savings plan throughout the month to gain control over how you use your money. Okay, you can check it daily. And I do advise you to do this for starters. See where you spent your money during the day. Because you might realize you spent $3 or $4 that you didn't have to spend $3 or $4 for, or $6, or whatever. And I know these are small amounts of money, but when you add them up after a week or whatever, you know, that can do something. So record your savings, any money that you're sharing or any money that you're spending. You do that by saving your receipts. That's a good first step. In addition to using your receipts to track your uses of income, you can also use them when you review your monthly statements. So start out, like I mentioned earlier, by saving every receipt you have. Sometimes we don't think about it, we don't want it, or whatever the case may be, because we don't want more in our pockets or in our purses or whatever the case may be. I'm only suggesting you do this just for starters, just to get a habit of where your money is. Okay, collect all of your change. Drop any spare change in a jar. That's something that I've done over the years when I was younger. I have one of those big jars, those huge jars, and that's where I dropped all of my coins at the end of the day. And after a while, I would take all of those coins. Back in the day, they're not doing it so much now, I don't think. I could take those coins up to the bank, and that bank would run those coins through the machine. Nobody's standing there counting it or whatever the case may be. But the coins are going through machines, and at the end, I get that number, and whatever that number is, I can put it in a deposit, or I can tell the bank would give it to me, you know, in a money order or whatever, or cash. So think about that. Any other ideas that you might have to do with saving money? List that down for yourself. Maybe you won't eat out to lunch every day. Maybe you'll eat every other day and bring a lunch. All right. So you have your daily and weekly ideas. Daily ideas, you're going to record your savings, your sharing, and your spending. You're going to collect your change, and then you're going to come up with some other ideas for yourself where it's going to save money. Okay. Weekly ideas, use the envelope system. Okay. Put things in the envelope, whether it's notes, whether it's extra money you want to put on the side, not so much coins, but maybe you got a couple of dollars left over, you know, singles that you're going to throw in there, saving this for a rainy day. Or if you want to make a note for yourself, or those bills, that's going to remind you to save money. Do a weekly money check-in to see, did I spend more money this week than I spent last week? And if so, how did I do it and what did I do it on? And do I need to do it again? And once again, come up with other ideas for yourself. Only you know what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. Monthly ideas. Conduct a monthly review of everything. This is where I can't put emphasis more. Have everything you do listed somewhere, no matter what it is, because if it's money coming out of your pocket, out of your checking account, it's hitting your budget. It's taking away from what you have. And it may not seem like much, but then again, you may not be thinking about it, and it is going to be much. And like I said earlier, where I got hit once or twice was forgetting about a quarterly payment. That quarterly payment is either 200 and something in many cases, or 300 and something. I'm not thinking about it. And all of a sudden, 200 and change gets taken out of my account. And I'm saying, oh, that's right. That's the auto insurance, which I forgot about. Okay. So these things I'm saying, or change it to monthly. Do whatever you can to make it convenient for you. Any successes you have where you see some nice results, where all of a sudden you see you have money at the end of the month or extra money at the end of the month, celebrate it. Go out to lunch. Treat yourself, maybe not so much lunch, but treat yourself or your family or the children to something, to dinner. Okay? Always prepare for your income taxes. If you think something's coming, beware of what that might be, so nothing catches you off guard. Okay? And if there are any other ideas that you can come up with yourself or from others, keep that in mind. They may or may not work out for you. Increase your income. So that can help cover expenses. It can help you save more, and then it can help you share. I'm the only one that should help shave, I guess. So, but once, if you have something, maybe you have things around the house that you don't need anymore, the children have outgrown, okay, things that you've outgrown and you just don't have anymore. Do what you call it, one of those where you do, selling it. Sell the item someplace. I can't think of what I'm thinking of. I'm sure you all know what I'm thinking of. Where you just might want to get rid
Facebook Marketplace.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Sell that thing there to get rid of it. At least that's extra income. You never know what you might have that means nothing to you. That might mean a lot to somebody else. Not so much sentimentally or anything like that, but it could be very useful to that individual for storage, for anything. Maybe it's music, maybe it's a radio, maybe something that someone may not have. And that paying $5 for it might be a lot for them, or $10, whatever. So occasionally have that garage sale. Have an ongoing part-time second job if necessary. When I was younger and growing up, I had more of a mortgage back then. My kids were younger and everything. I had 3 kids. I wanted to do everything I can for them. So every once in a while, I had good jobs, but every once in a while, I had to do a part-time job because of who was doing what, whether my daughter was going to dance school or whatever the case may be. I had to get a part-time job every so often, just to get me by and so that I could provide the way I wanted to provide. No big deal, just that part-time second job. And now, it's different nowadays. It's easier for me to say when I was doing part-time jobs, because back then, you worked from 6 to 10. It's not like everything is 24 hours a day now. When I was doing part-time jobs, things were closing up in the evenings, all sorts of business. So a part-time job was basically a 6 to 10 job. And that was 5 days a week. So it was really no big deal. Unlike now, you might have a part-time job working 12-hour shift all night long. That might be what it requires, and if it does, then you have to do what you have to do. There's long-term going to workforce development. We've talked about that a little bit. There are locations all over, in Wheaton and every place. Go and find out what you can do. That's the best place to go. It's workforce development. If you need a job, if you need help, if you need guidance, they're there. Cafe Montgomery, my organization, we're going to be there starting next month at the location in Wheaton. Okay, so these are different ways you can increase your income. Other ways, if you have children that are a little handy around the house or do things, this is another thing. Have them go out and mow lawns, get a paper route or something like that to help themselves. I came from a fairly decent family, but they didn't give me everything. I had to go out and become a paper boy. I did that to put money in my pocket, so I didn't have to go ask my family for nothing. For anything. That taught me a lot of things. I might have spent all my money by the time I got home when I collected, but I didn't have to ask my parents for anything. And when I became a teenager in high school and we had all these challenges with ourselves, who looks good back then, we were looking good back then. We didn't wear jeans. We were trying to look sharp. But our parents wasn't buying us knit shirts. We were buying them through our part-time jobs. So decreasing expenses, think about needs, wants, and obligations. Conserve, what can you get cheaper? Or what can you buy less of? Buy in bulk. If you like sodas or things like that, go to the supermarket and get it in bulk. Don't go to the 7-Eleven. I'm not saying don't go to 7-Eleven. It has its conveniences. That's why it's a convenience store. But if you need other things, like certain groceries or whatever, go to the supermarket and get it like that. You can buy in bulk, things like dry goods, paper towels, toilet paper. You can buy that in bulk. And it's going to cost you a lot cheaper and you'll have it around. You don't have to get that maybe the next time you go grocery shopping. Adjust, where can you negotiate? What can you do to make things a little cheaper? Okay, you spend less on certain items. Maybe we'll do this month and we won't do this that month as far as your household is concerned. Okay. What can you do without? What can you eliminate? That may be going out to eat right now. Maybe you won't take the family out every Friday or Saturday like you normally do. Maybe you have to skip it every once in a while until things get on track. Or maybe you'll do it a little different. Maybe you'll have the family prepare a meal at home. Okay, this is your day to prepare. This Saturday, you're going to make your dish and whatever you want to be. Celebrate like that. You don't have to spend any money. And it might be enjoyable. Watch a good movie together. So these are things, you can write down, adjust your spending and things and your income. I really urge you to, at the beginning, start with a budget, jotting everything down. And the best way to make sure you got everything is look at the bank statement for the past 3 months and see what comes out automatically. So you'll make sure you have everything, because you're definitely going to forget something, especially if you're paying quarterly. So use a monthly spending and savings plan to guide how you use your money. So I'm just talking about. And when money is short, prioritize which bills to pay first when that money is short. You know what's important. Some things you can get away with for a few days, maybe a couple of weeks. Some things you can't. What I said before, and I'll urge you to do it again, and that's something you may have to check into. Find out when something's being reported late that you pay. So like if you pay a bill late, let's say it's Bank of America, you have a Bank of America card, okay? And you may have to pay them late. It's due on the 3rd, okay? And you pay them on the 5th. That's okay. That what they may do, and chances are they will, they're going to charge you a late fee. Okay, that's that. That's what you have to do. What they're not going to do is they're not going to report you late on your credit bureau score, unless you're 30 days late, and then sometimes 15 days late. That's what you want to try to avoid. Don't go 15 days or more later, because that creditor may be reporting that on your credit report. And that's where it's going to be hurting you real bad, especially if it's a recent report. If you've been going along fine and you got a glitch right now and you got it on your report, it's almost destructive because it's so new. So try to balance, know when things are due. We all have to pay things late, but maybe if it's a couple of days late, that's fine. Your only penalty you'll get is from that credit, and they're going to charge you a fee. So be even careful with planning your money, because you can run short. Don't spend what you're not sure where things are. That's why I'm asking you to review your situation, review when bills are paid, because you can go at the holidays are coming, it's summertime, you got paid this week, you may go spend money on a lot of things. Have fun, forgetting that September might be a quarterly payment on something, which might be due in about 3 weeks, and you're not thinking about that. So, I hate to harp on that, but that's something that really happens. It happens in our time in reality. So what can you do? You can increase your income. You can go out, you can get an extra job doing something if you have the time. Do something to increase your income that you can put money aside, or maybe you can knock a few things off right away. Okay, when you're knocking things off, as far as paying things down, pay the bills down that charges you the highest interest rate. You want to knock that out first. Okay, decrease your expenses. In other words, don't charge anymore. Even though you might have room on your credit card that you can go out and spend, try not to, if you can, spend money. Okay, have money in your account and use the debit card that has that Visa or whatever logo on your debit card, so that money is coming out in real time. Almost everybody accepts it now because you have the logo on the card. Okay, so if possible, use what money you have access to. Contact your creditors if you have a problem. They're willing to work with you. And the main reason they're willing to work with you is because they don't want to write you off, because it's going to impact you both. Sure, it's going to impact your credit score. They're going to say you defaulted on it. However, they're not getting the money that you owe them. So they're writing that off. So they don't want to do that. They'd rather negotiate with you if they can. Now, negotiating with you might say, okay, I'll lessen the amount you have to pay me. However, I may raise your interest rate. If you have to go that route, go that route, because no matter what, that's not going to impact your credibility. It's not going to impact your credit score. It's going to still show that you're paying as agreed. So don't be shy of calling your creditors. They'd rather you do that than to not pay them. If you have to reach out for help, do so. If that's family members or taking a loan out someplace, do what you have to do. One thing I can suggest for you, if you can afford it and look at it, is if you have that 401k plan at work, and you've had it for a while, or you have some money in it, and you need to pay something off and do it, there's an emergency, borrow the money from yourself. Take a withdrawal, take a loan out, or whatever, or early withdrawal from your 401k, okay? Then you can pay that off. You're not hurting yourself. The only thing you're hurting yourself is that you're losing savings in the long run, okay? But if you continue working, you're gonna make up for that because you're investing. So you're gonna have weeks in the 401k where you're gonna be losing money anyway, because you're investing. But if anything, pay yourself first. Use your assets first. So I do suggest that if something comes up, an emergency or whatever, take it out of a 401k or 403b. If you can borrow it out and pay it back on the long term, do it that way, as opposed to the withdrawal. If you do the withdrawal, you have to pay taxes on it. But if you can take out a loan from your 401k for $1,000 and say, I want to pay this back over 5 years, believe me, it's not going to be much money, and you will have killed two birds with one stone. Okay. And again, prioritize what you pay first. The most important, the ones that have the bigger impact. So make choices about which bills to pay in full, to pay partially, or to pay late. And I pretty much basically gave you a description on that. And it's what's important. It's what's keeping your utilities and a roof over your head. And it's what's going to impact your credit score. Okay. And credit report. Try not to do anything that's going to have an impact on your credit report. That stays on there too long, even though you do it once. If you did it tomorrow, it's going to be fresh in your credit report, and it's going to be on there for 7 years. Okay, and I'm being a little dramatic. It's because that has more impact on you than anything else. Is that credit report? There's going to come a time 2 or 3 years from now when you're ready to do something different. Maybe you have that down payment on the house. Maybe it's time for you to get another car. And whoever you go to is definitely going to look at your credit and see what your FICO score is. And because you made this one decision, it might impact the amount of interest you pay on that loan, or the fact that maybe you can or cannot get a loan. Okay. So pay attention to the consequences of how you do things. You don't want to prevent yourself from earning income, doing the wrong thing, losing your job or whatever. You don't want to jeopardize your shelter. So in other words, pay your mortgage, pay your rent, pay that on time. Okay, people, you don't want to get thrown out. This can have an impact on your health and your ability to live independently. So take care of yourself. Make sure you have health insurance at your job, or health insurance in some form or fashion, whether it's Medicare or something like that. Get health insurance. If you don't, any of these things that you dismiss and don't think about, it could cause you a loss in your assets. Let's say you were a homeowner or whatever, and you didn't have health insurance, and something, God forbid, should happen to you, and you had a big bill, and you couldn't pay that bill, and you lost your home. Now you don't have shelter. And even if you were able to go someplace else to live, you've lost a huge asset. So stay on top of things. Speak with a consultant. There's a lot of us going around that help that is no charge or anything like that. Keep that in mind. So first, try to find ways to increase your income and to reduce your expenses. Contact your creditors. I'll review this stuff. They may give you extra time to pay or otherwise work with you. And that's a fact. Okay, keep that in mind. The creditor will work with you because they do want their money. Reach out for help, not only from family and friends, but also from community-based organizations and public agencies. You're in that environment right now as we speak. That's what we're here for. That's what the college is here for. That's what Cafe is here for. That's what a lot of the other organizations are here for, to help you out. No cost to you. The services are out there here in Montgomery County. Okay, so make a budget for yourself, prioritize everything. Again, I've said this a few times this afternoon. Make sure you list everything and put a priority next to it. Okay, what needs to be paid? How are you going to pay it off? Reach out to any one of us if you need somebody to consult with. It's not going to cost you. And again, I'm just repeating myself. Prioritize which bills to pay first when the money is short. And that's it. Here's a list for you all to take action. You can look at. What are you going to do? How will you do it? Will I share my plans with anyone? And if so, who? So that means just because you're talking about something private, it's based on your income, your job, and things like that. There may be somebody in your life or consultant or one of us that you can talk this over with to get some advice from. Don't try to make decisions yourself. If you need be, consult with somebody that you can trust. Well, thank you so much. I hope you all gathered something from all of this and apply it more than anything else. Really appreciate it.